been lots of feelings this week. Have you been feeling the feeling train this week?
Yeah.
It's been all over the place. Everybody's had lots of strong feelings one way or the other on this side or that side of every issue and tissue. I want to share a song with you that came to me to look at on Wednesday morning on my computer. I put it on. It's a song I think that speaks to what we can do to go deeper, to know that no matter what's going on, it's only a moment in time. It doesn't last forever. Change is always among us. It's called Another Train. Listen, and when you get the words, you'll sing along with it. I know you will.
The beginning is now, and will always be. You say you've lost your chance, but fate brought you defeat, but that means nothing. You look so sad. You've been listening to those who say you've missed your chance. There's another train. There always is. Maybe the next one is yours. Get up and climb aboard another train. You feel you're done. There's no such thing. Although you're standing on your own breath is king. The beginning is now. Don't turn around. Regrets of bad mistakes will only drain you. There's another train.
There is.
There always is. Maybe the next one is yours. Get up and climb aboard another train. We crawl in the dark sometimes and think too much. Then we fill our heads with crazy things that only break our hearts. And I know you've seen what the earth can do, but it's dragging down another load of worrisome fools. There's another train.
There's another train.
There always is. Maybe the next one is yours. Get up and climb aboard
Another train. There's another train. There always is. Maybe the next one is yours. There'll be another election. There'll be another job. There'll be another relationship. There'll be another opportunity to be on this side or that side of whatever issue and tissue you might be on. It's not the end. It's just the beginning. The beginning is now. With your own breath as king, come back to the moment. There's another mover. There's another train. There's another moment. And we must understand that there were people who were waiting at the train station, celebrating, having the best time ever. Yay, whoopee-doo-dah. And there were people at another train station when the train came in, and they were weeping and gnashing their teeth. There's another train. There's another side to every issue and every tissue that we face. There's another train. There always is. There's another wave of change. Thich Nhat Hanh said this, a great insight for this week. Strong opinions cause a lot of suffering. If you didn't have a lot of strong opinion, you wouldn't be suffering because you wouldn't be attached, and your attachment is what causes suffering. The Buddha taught that over and over and over again. There's another train. We just sent Maureen out to go do our move, from finally moving our stuff from Squim to here. A year later, we're finally going to move the stuff over here. And we had a mover all picked out, all ready to go. Maureen got an airplane ticket, got that all done. And as we got closer to the move and the contract came, we began to look at the small print. Maureen is very good with the small print. I'm so grateful for her energy in my life. Not much gets by Maureen. She can see it pretty clearly what it is. And there was a discrepancy between what we got told, what the woman on the phone was saying, and what the contract looked like that we had in our hands. And so we put a deposit down, but we had not yet signed the contract. So Maureen's looking and talking on the phone, and we're not getting answers that really make any sense. There's another mover. There always is. Even though we had the plane ticket and it was all ready to go, it was like, something's not right here. And then we got on the website where there were people in the last 4 months, 5 different people, families, who had experiences with these movers, and they said, do not walk away from this moving company. Run away from this moving company. Do not use this moving company. And so we got back on the phone and said, we're going to let this go. And you would think that we were criminals for saying we wanted our deposit back. It took hours of phone conversation, almost screaming matches to get our money back. But there's another mover. There always is. Maybe the next one is yours. And by the way, we did find another one, and the stuff is pretty soon going to be on its way. So this week, asking and calling for the divine presence for help. A couple of things came across my table. It was going to be up on the screen, but the screen's not working right now. If you could understand everything about just one thing, wouldn't you understand everything about everything? Because of how everything is all tied up together. And that's why nobody understands anything all the way except God. If I could understand one thing about anything, would I then understand everything about everything? Mary Oliver wrote that poem. And I'm remembering watching Thich Nhat Hanh stand in front of 800 people in Encinitas at a retreat I was at. He was holding a flower. He said, if you could see this flower, truly, all the way through, you would understand everything about everything. And I went, wow. What's the one thing we can know all the way through? And then another friend wrote me an email, and his life's falling apart. He's a minister in ministry, and things are not working out well at the church he's at, and there's change about to happen. He's looking elsewhere. And someone wrote him this email, which also helped me very much this week. It says, there is no ideal location or person or church or party to be a part of. Only the unwinding experience of attempting to harmonize with whatever arises in a given moment. And then the moment and situation changes. We're like little boats, the waves of change. We rise on the next wave and attempt to harmonize with that wave, and then that one gets settled, and then there's another one, and then there's another wave, and then there's another wave of change. There's the gulping part, and the fearing part, and the falling part, and the failing part, and the successful part, and the healthy part, and the sick part. It's all back of the same moment. It's all God. When you can see that it's all part of the one dynamic presence and power, we don't get quite so lost in the changes when they come. So I was actually really pretty happy with that understanding. First was that strong opinions cause a lot of suffering. There's another train. There always is. Maybe the next one is yours. And then I thought about my dad, Alvin. He's been a great teacher for me. There's something about coming back to the East Coast. When my family grew up and I grew up, I've been having all these rushes of my dad at this part of the world. For some reason, it reminds me of it. And I remember he used to say to me, when we get stuck in a storm on the boat, because he loved boats, I've told you that, and when you get into the really, really big waves, and it looked like we were going to get in some trouble, he'd say, let's find a cove. The first thing you do is you find a cove. And then you drop the anchor down, and you let out. I'd be standing on the bow of the boat, this little 11, 12-year-old, and he'd say, let it out, let more line out, let more line out. Depending upon how big the boat is how much line, and the wave is how much of a line we have to let out. And sometimes it would be so bad, the storms would be so big, that we'd have to let all the line out. And I'm thinking about my storyline this week, and how I've been holding tight onto my storyline, and the bow's been going under and getting stuck. Let more line out. Let more line out. Ride the wave of change. That helped me a lot too. But then it goes deeper. I love how the presence works. Because when you're in this work, you know that there are no accidents. You know you're not here by mistake. You know you're here to be a conduit and a channel for awakening consciousness. So how can I use this for that as well? So another thing came to me. It's actually a bit long, And I would not share this with you if Maureen were here because she doesn't like when I do that. But Maureen's not here. So I can take as long as I want, and you got an extra hour, so just listen. It was about a man named Milton Benedict, a man who in 1982 died of terminal cancer. Now, it wasn't 20 minutes or 25 minutes where his brain activity got a little dull. This is a guy who was dead for an hour and a half. His body was getting cold and stiff. He was with a hospice person. This guy was dead, gone. And he had this experience that he shares. The first thing I want to say is back in 1970, he was really involved in being totally against the nuclear crisis. Remember the nuclear crisis? Remember when we all thought, for sure, we're going to die of radiation. We're going to die of a nuclear crisis. This guy believed this. He believed in his heart of hearts that man was a cancerous organism on the planet and that everyone was going to die. He said the first insight he had when he met the being of light is be real careful about what your worldview is and what train you're on and what story you're telling yourself about. So here he is. He's meeting the being of light. And like other stories we tell, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's filled with compassion and love and non-judgment coming towards him. And he says, I'd like to ask some questions. He goes, ask anything you want. I'll answer your question in whatever way you would like me to. So whether you're a Buddhist or a Christian or a fundamentalist, the light meets you and greets you according to your current thought, word, deed, and habit pattern. That's the way it works here, because God is for you. The Spirit wants you to wake up to who you are. And so we had this incredible experience, and here are some of the insights that really helped me get into ocean consciousness. The first thing he realized, he said, is I could see nothing wrong with any human being I had ever met or seen. Before that, I was really judgmental. I thought a lot of people were really messed up. In fact, I thought that everybody was messed up except me. Anyone relate to that?
Amen.